see the solution lesson. In solution lesson we are going to see the colligative properties and determination of molecular mass. Colligative properties. What is colligative property? Colligative property is nothing but depends on the numbers. Depends on the number. So using this colligative property we are going to determine the molecular mass. That is, we discussed in the earlier topic, vapor pressure decreases when a non-volatile. Non-volatile means not easily vaporized. Non-volatile means not easily vaporized solute. Example, solution. How will you prepare the solution? When NaCl dissolved in water or sugar in water. NaCl is a solute and water is a solvent. So that solute we added is a non-volatile added to a volatile solvent. That is easily vaporized solvent. Easily vaporized solvent. So what happens when a non-volatile solute is added to a volatile solvent? The vapor pressure decreases. Vapor pressure decreases. That is our concept we already discussed. Now, what are the properties connected with decrease in vapor pressure? Decrease in vapor pressure. What are the properties? Now, there are 4 properties we are going to discuss. First one is relative lowering of vapor pressure. Vapor pressure, decrease in vapor pressure, that is the meaning. Relative lowering of vapor pressure, that is compared with the solvent and solution, like that. So relative lowering of vapor pressure can be represented by the formula P1 naught. What is P1 naught? Vapor pressure of pure solvent. Naught means pure solvent. P1 naught minus P1 solution. Vapor pressure of solution. So P1 naught minus P1 by P1 naught is the formula represents the relative lowering of vapor pressure. Next is elevation of boiling point. It is increase in boiling point. Delta TB. Depression of freezing point. Decrease in freezing point. Delta TF. That is change in temperature. Osmotic pressure of solution. That is represented by the symbol pi. Now we are going to see what is colligative property first. What is colligative property? We told in a single word, it depends on the number. Yes, all these properties we mentioned above depends on the number of solute particles, irrespective of the nature. Not on the nature, but depends on the number of the solute particles relative to the total number of particles present in the solution. Related with the solution. Solute particle depends on the number of the solute particles. That is called as a colligative property. So colligative property means it depends on the number of the solute particles, irrespective of the nature of the solute. So now we are going to see the relative lowering of vapor pressure. This is our first topic now. So relative lowering of vapor pressure. We discussed the vapor pressure of the solvent in solution is less than that of pure solvent. That is, vapor pressure of the solution is always less than the pure solvent. What is vapor pressure first? So now if you take one beaker like this, fill this up to water here, close this container. There is a pressure exerted between the walls and the surface of the solvent. Consider this as a water. This force, this pressure exerted between these two make the solvent molecules on the surface to get evaporated and seems to be water molecules, droplets on the top of the container, that is walls of the container. So that pressure exerted between these two is called vapor pressure. So that pressure vaporizes the molecules of the solvent. This is pure solvent, so here the vapor pressure is more. So pressure increases and the more number of molecules get evaporated. If it is a solution, if you add NaCl to this NaCl molecule is also present on the surface, no? So solvent is only volatile. Non-volatile solute is added, we discussed. So that solute does not vaporize, only the solvent vaporized. So in the surface, some of the area occupied by the solute. So now the vapor pressure decreases. So this is the concept. Pure solvent, the vapor pressure is more and the solution it is less. So that is, the vapor pressure of the solution is less than that of the pure solvent. Why we understand now? So that was explained by Rolle's law, that is lowering of vapor pressure depends only on the concentration of the solute. Concentration of the solute. And it is independent of their identity, that is nature and some of that. So but depends only on the concentration. What is concentration? C is equal to N by V. Constant number of moles in 1 liter, like that. So that is what it explains. The relation between the vapor pressure of the solution, mole fraction and vapor pressure of the solvent. Rolle's law explained that only, no? That is P1 proportional to X1. That is mole fraction. That is X is the mole fraction. So P1 is equal to X1 into P1 naught. If you remove any proportional means, you have to introduce one constant, no? That constant is a P1 naught. That constant is a P1 naught. So P1 naught is nothing but vapor pressure of pure solvent. Vapor pressure of pure solvent. This reduction in vapor pressure of the solvent. So initially it is high for pure solvent. So now when it comes to solution, it decreases. So delta P1 equal to P1 naught, that is pure solvent, minus solute, that is solute. So this can be written as P1, we know the X1 into P1 naught. So instead of P1, we are substituting P1 naught into X1. P1 naught into X1. P1 naught into X1. So P1. We can take this P1 outside, no? Yes, P1 outside. Here 1. P1 is removed, means here we have to put 1. Here X1 is there. So 1 minus X1. So we know that 1 minus X1 is equal to X2. That is X1 plus X2 is equal to 1. That is total number of mole fraction is equal to 1, no? So 1 minus X1 is equal to X2. So instead of this 1 minus X1, we are placing the X2. So now delta P1 equal to P1 into X2. What is that? Difference in the relative lowering of vapor pressure is equal to, that is difference in the vapor pressure is equal to solvent minus solute. For P1 we know there is a relation X1 into P naught. So X1 into P naught. P1 naught and P1 naught is same. So take outside. Here 1 into P1 naught is there, no? So 1. Here X1 into P1 naught, no? So X1. So we know that 1 minus, that is X1 plus X2 is equal to 1. That means 1 minus X2 can be written as X2. So delta P1 is equal to P1 naught into X2. So delta P1, if this P1 comes here, delta P1 by P1 naught equal to X2. Now the change in the vapor pressure by vapor pressure of the pure solvent is equal to mole fraction of solute. 2 means solute. In a solution containing several non-volatile solutes, the lowering of vapor pressure depends upon the sum of the mole fraction of different solute. Here we take only one solution, that is, so therefore we write this X2. If different means sum. Yes. Now delta P1 by P1 naught equal to P1 naught minus P1 by P1 naught. We know delta P1 is equal to P1 naught minus P1. That is, I already write the difference in the pressure, vapor pressure. This is pure solvent and this is a solute. That equation divided by P1 naught. So delta P1 naught by P1 naught can be written as X2. We derived that now. So this is equal to X2. Instead of this, we are placing X2. So X2 equal to P1 naught minus P1 by P1 naught. This is the relative lowering of vapor pressure. This is the relative lowering of vapor pressure, which is equal to mole fraction of the solute. So P1 naught minus P1 by P1 naught equal to, this x2 can be written as, mole fraction is nothing but individual, that is mole fraction is nothing but individual number of moles by total number of moles. Here it is x2. So individual number of moles n2 by total number of moles n1 plus n2. Solvent, solute. So instead of x2 we write this n2 by n1 plus n2. So what is the terms here? That is n1 number of moles of solvent, n2 number of moles of solute. For dilute solution, for all the colligative properties we are writing this one. For dilute solution, n2 is always less than n1. Dilute means only small amount of solute is added, no? So for dilute solution, n2 is always much less than n1. So n2 is neglected. So this equation, n2 is compared to n1, n2 is neglected. So neglect this n2. So n2 by n1. n2 by n1. We know that n is equal to W by m. Number of moles is equal to mass by molecular mass. So P1 naught minus P1 by P1 naught equal to n2 W2 by m2 and n1 W1 by m1 can written like this. So this is. So W1 and W2 are the masses of the solvent and solute. M1 and M2 are the molar masses of the solvent and solute. So from this equation, if we know the all other terms except M2, we can able to calculate the molecular mass of the solute. We can able to calculate the molecular mass of the solute using the relative lowering of vapor pressure. Next term is elevation of boiling point. Next one is elevation of boiling point. That is increase in the boiling point. It is represented by the symbol delta TB. Here also we know vapor pressure of the liquid increase with increase in temperature. That is temperature increases means vapor pressure also increases. So the boiling point. What is boiling point? Liquid boils. When the liquid boils, the temperature at which the vapor pressure is equal to the atmospheric pressure. Vapor pressure is equal to the atmospheric pressure. So example, when the water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, no, that is 373.15 Kelvin, that is 100 degrees Celsius. Because at this temperature, the vapor pressure of water is 1.013. It is nothing but 1 atmosphere. It is nothing but 1 atmosphere. It is nothing but 1 atmosphere. So when the vapor pressure is equal to atmosphere, that time the liquid boils. That temperature is called as a boiling point. So vapor pressure of the solvent decreases in the presence of non-volatile solute. That we already discussed. Non-volatile means not easily vaporized. Therefore, the vapor pressure decreases. Now, what about the boiling point? The boiling point of the solution is always higher than that of the boiling point of the pure solvent. Solution is higher than the solvent. So in that vapor pressure, solvent is higher, no? Here, solution is higher than that of the pure solvent. So, increase in boiling point, that is delta, change in temperature, boiling point, boiling temperature. TB minus TB naught, that is boiling temperature, What is the difference? Not represents the solvent. Not means solvent. And TB means solution. So, solution minus solvent. Since it is higher, no? So, for dilute solution, for all we have to write the dilute solution. For dilute solution, no? For dilute solution, delta TB proportional to M. What is this M? Molar concentration of solute. That is molality. Molar concentration of solute in a solution. That is in 1 kilogram. Like that. That is or 1000 gram. Now delta TB is equal to proportional removed means you have to introduce one constant. If you want to remove the proportional means, you have to introduce one constant, no? Here that constant is Kb, which is called as ebullioscopic constant. Ebullioscopic constant. That is the boiling point elevation constant or molar elevation constant, or it is ebullioscopic constant. And the unit of this Kb equal to Kelvin, this is Kelvin temperature, kilogram per mole. Kelvin, kilogram per mole. Now, if W2 gram of the solute of molar mass, M2, that is for solute, 2 means solute. This 2 represents the solute and 1 represents the solvent. So, W2 means that solute weight. Its molar mass is M2. Dissolved in W1 gram of the solvent, that is 1000 gram. Then, the molality M can be written as M is equal to W2 by M2 by W1 into 1000. W1 into 1000, that is equal, divided by 1000. That can be written as 1000 comes upward, M2 comes downward. So, M is equal to 1000 into W2 by M2 into W1. Now, substitute these three, this third equation in equation 2. Here, instead of M, we are going to substitute. So, into Kb you have to add Kb into 1000 into W2 by M2 into W1. From this, so M is equal to W2 by M2, W1 by 1000. So, 1000 comes here, M2 comes down. So, write this. Now, this third equation in the second equation. What is that second equation? Delta Tb is equal to Kb into M. Instead of M, we are going to write this one. So, delta Tb is equal to Kb into 1000 into W2 by M2 into W1. So, if we all know all the terms except M2, we can able to calculate the M2. So, M2 is equal to Kb into 1000 into W2 by delta Tb into W1. M2 goes this side and delta Tb comes here. So, if we know the Kb known of this, that is of known solvent, W2, delta Tb and W1 known means we can able to calculate M2. We can able to calculate M2. Depression of freezing point. Decrease in the freezing point. It is represented by the symbol delta Tf. Delta Tf. That is, the lowering of vapor pressure of the solution decreases the freezing point compared to pure solvent. That means it is lower than the pure solvent. Boiling point is higher, no? Here it is lower. What is the freezing point when a solid changes to liquid or liquid changes to solid? So, freezing point, depression of freezing point. That is at the temperature when the liquid, that is a reversible, that temperature. Now, what is freezing point? The temperature at which the vapor pressure of the substance in its liquid phase is equal to vapor pressure in solid phase. That is temperature at which the vapor pressure of the substance in liquid is equal to solid. That is at which temperature the vapor pressure of liquid is equal to solid. That is vapor pressure of liquid is equal to vapor pressure of solid means that temperature is called as a freezing point. Now to that, what about the non-volatile solute is added? The vapor pressure decreases and the freezing point also decreases. Delta Tf is equal to Tf naught minus, there increases. So, Tb minus Tb naught. Here decreases. So, Tf naught minus Tf. What is this naught? For solvent. Tf for solute. So, for dilute solution, for all that we have to write the dilute solution, no? For dilute solution, delta Tf proportional to M. Proportionality constant is removed, Kf. Instead of Kb, we are writing Kf. So, Kf depends on the nature of the solvent. That is called as cryoscopic constant. Then Kb is called as ebullioscopic constant. Here it is a cryoscopic constant. We know that M is equal to W2 by M2 by W1 by 1000. That is equal to 1000 comes upward and M2 comes downward. So, substitute this third equation in the second. Delta Tf is equal to Kf into M. Instead of M, we are going to substitute. So, Kf into 1000 into W2 by M2 into W1. We can able to calculate the M2. by knowing the other terms. So m2 is equal to m2 comes here and delta Tf comes here. So this is the formula. If we know the other terms, we can able to calculate the m2. Here, the value of Kf and Kb depends upon the nature we told, no? So Kf is equal to R into m1 into Tf square by 1000 into delta fusion H. That is enthalpy of fusion. That is enthalpy of fusion. This is for freezing point, enthalpy of fusion. For boiling point, it is enthalpy of vaporization. Enthalpy of vaporization. That is the only difference. And the freezing and boiling. Same formula. No need to derive this. So we can able to write that directly. Or what is our gas constant? M1 we know solvent. Tf and Tb are the freezing and boiling point of pure solvent. Delta HF fusion. This is vaporization. Enthalpy of fusion and enthalpy of vaporization of the solvent. Next factor, property is osmosis and osmotic pressure. Osmosis we already heard, I think. That is, if semi-permeable membrane is placed between the solvent and the solution, the solvent molecule will flow through the membrane from pure solvent to solution. That is, solvent always, the solution moves from solvent to solution. What is semi-permeable membrane? It allows only that is pure solvent, not the impurities and ions like that. So, if semi-permeable membrane, what is semi-permeable membrane? It allows only the solvent, not impurity and ions. So, that is known as a semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane. So, if semi-permeable membrane is placed between solvent and solution, solvent moves to the solution side. That is called as a osmosis. That means if you want to stop the movement of the solvent to the solution, you have to give the pressure. So that pressure that just stops the flow of the solvent is called osmotic pressure. The amount of pressure given to stop the flow of the solvent to the solution is called as a osmotic pressure. That is, the flow of the solvent from dilute solution to the concentrated solution. There NaCl is added, no? In a solution side like that. NaCl or sugar. So concentration is more there. So always a flow of the solvent is from dilute solution to concentrated solution. That is called as a osmosis. It depends on the concentration. Dilute to concentrated side, no? So it depends on the concentration. So osmotic pressure of the solution is excess pressure applied to solution to prevent the osmosis. Yes. What is osmotic pressure? The pressure exerted or supplied to prevent the flow of solvent to the solution side. That is known as osmotic pressure. That is prevent osmosis. To stop the passage of solvent molecule through a permeable membrane into the solution. Let's see here. Here it is taken solution. Here we are taking the solvent. This is a semi-permeable membrane. This is a semi-permeable membrane. And here the normally pressure, atmospheric pressure. In solution, we are giving the pressure. That excess of pressure is called as a pi. That is osmotic pressure. Pi depends on the number and not on their identity. Therefore, it is a colligative property. Number means colligative property. For dilute solution, as usual. For dilute solution, pi proportional to C into T. What is C? Molarity. Molarity means M. Molarity, so C. Temperature. T. If you remove one proportional, introduce one constant, no, that is R. So pi is equal to C into RT. R is a gas constant. Pi is the osmotic pressure. So we know C is equal to N by V. Concentration we are writing for the solute, no? So N2 by V into RT. We know N2, N is equal to W by M. So N2 is equal to W2 by M2. So instead of N2, write W2 by M2. W2 by M2 by V comes this side. So here V. That is, we can write this pi equal to m2 W2, that is W2 by m2 RT by pi, that is V, RT by V. So this V comes here, so pi into V, W2 by m2 into RT. Always we are going to calculate the m2, no? So m2 this side and pi V this side. So m2 is equal to W2 into RT by pi into V. So by knowing the all other terms, we can able to calculate the m2. What is the uses here? It is used to determine the molar mass of proteins, polymers and other macromolecules. So we can able to calculate the molar mass of these. So we are studying about the osmotic pressure. The two solutions having the same osmotic pressure is called isotonic solutions. Important one mark. Two solutions having the same osmotic pressure at the given temperature is called isotonic. Iso means same. So same osmotic pressure is called isotonic solution. Example, the osmotic pressure associated with the fluid inside the blood cell, taking the blood cell, which is equivalent to 0.9 mass by volume percentage. We already studied in here in the first lesson now. So in the first topic, 0.9 mass by volume percentage. So the blood cell, the osmotic pressure is equivalent to 0.9%. That is called as a normal saline solution. If it is 0.9%, it is called as a normal saline solution. On the other hand, if the place the cell in a solution containing more than 0.9 means, then the water will flow out of the cell and they would shrink. That is called as a hypertonic. Solution. If the salt solution is less, so if it is equal to 0.9 means isotonic. Greater than 0.9 means hypertonic. Less than 0.9% means hypotonic. Now we are going to see what is reverse osmosis. What is osmosis? Dilute solution to concentrated solution, the solvent molecules close. So the direction of the osmosis can be reversed if the pressure is larger than the osmotic pressure. So the pressure is larger than the osmotic pressure means the osmosis takes place in a reverse direction. That is called as a reverse osmosis. Where this reverse osmosis is used? This reverse osmosis is used for desalination of seawater. That is purification, preparing drinking water from seawater. For that purpose, we are taking the reverse osmosis method. This semi-permeable membrane used in this desalination is cellulose acetate. That means which has a tendency to permeable the water. We know semi-permeable membrane allows only the water, not the impurities and the ions present. So that is a semi-permeable membrane to convert the seawater into drinking water. Abnormal molar masses. What is abnormal molar masses? Whether the molar mass should be increases or decreases than the experimental value, that is than the true value. We are calculated the molar mass by the relative lowering of vapor pressure, elevation of boiling point, depression of freezing point, and by also the osmotic pressure, osmosis. Now that experimental value is either more or less than the true value. That is called as abnormal molecular mass. Let's see when the molar mass increases, when decreases. There are two types. One is dissociation, another one is association. Let's see here. Abnormal molar mass. When ionic compound NaCl, KCl like that, NaCl, KCl dissolved in water, it dissociates into cations and anions. Yes, KCl dissolves to give K plus and Cl minus. If we take 1 mole of KCl, it gives 1 mole of K plus and 1 mole of Cl minus, totally 2 moles in the solution. When there is dissociation, what happens here? Dissociation takes place. So if the dissociation takes place means the experimentally determined molar mass is always lower. Dissociation means lower. lower molar mass than the true value. Since the KCl 1 mole, K plus and Cl minus 1 plus 1, totally 2 moles in the solution. So here the dissociate, 1 mole dissociates to give 2 moles. Dissociation takes place, mean the molar mass is always lower than the true value. Next example for association. Association, molecules of ethanoic acid, it is nothing but acetic acid, dimerizes in benzene. Ethanoic acid in benzene. Due to hydrogen, but we already discussed in the carboxylic acid, no? That is, acid exists as a dimer. Due to hydrogen bonding, yes. Due to the low dielectric constant, we already discussed in the carboxylic acid lesson. So, number of particles reduced. What happens? Association takes place. Associated with each other. So, it seems to be one molecule. So, the number of particles reduced due to dimerization. Like this. 2 molecules we are taking. We get 1 molecule exists as a dimer. So, this is a structure, dimeric structure of acetic acid. Due to association, what happens? The molar mass is higher. Molar mass is higher than the true value. Higher than the true value. Such a molar mass that is either lower or higher than the expected or normal value is called as a abnormal molar mass. If the dissociation takes place means lower. Association takes place means higher. Whether it may be higher or lower, there may be a change in the normal value, no? That is called as a abnormal molar mass. For this dissociation and association, Van 't Hoff introduced a factor called, that is Van 't Hoff factor I in 1880 to account for the extent of dissociation, extent to how much it dissociated or how much it associated. To find the extent, he introduced a Van 't Hoff factor I. I is equal to normal molar mass. What is the normal? What we get? That is normal molar mass by abnormal molar mass. From this, I is the extent of dissociation or association. How much is dissociated or how much it get associated from the normal procedure. Or we can write this as observed colligative property or the calculated colligative property. Abnormal we calculated. Observed means normal. Or I is equal to total number of particles after association or dissociation. After. Here the total number of particles before association or dissociation. Before association, this is experiment. So that takes place. But it is calculated. We taken the calculation by using the formula only, no? So that is calculated or abnormal. Before. Abnormal molar mass is experimentally determined. Molar mass. The calculated colligative property are obtained by assuming that non-volatile solute is neither associated or dissociated. Associated or dissociated. If the association takes place, the value is less than 1. If the dissociation takes place, this Van 't Hoff factor is greater than 1. For example, I for KCl is 2. Ethanoic acid is 0.5. Here dissociation no, so 2. Association no, so 0.5. It greater than 1, this is less than 1. Van 't Hoff factor modifies the equation from the colligative property. We discussed this P1 naught by P1 by P1 naught is equal to N2 by N1. But I, you have to multiply that Van 't Hoff factor is also must be under consideration while using the colligative property that was given by the Van 't Hoff. So all that term multiplied by I. Elevation of boiling point, freezing point, osmotic pressure. For several strong electrolytes KCl, NaCl and MgSO4, I approaches 2, that is greater. As the solution becomes very dilute. Dilute means number of molecules increases, no? So, as expected the value of I get close to 3. So, it dissociates to give 2K plus SO4 2 minus. 2 plus 1 3, no? So, it assumes to be 3. So, up to this we completed the solution lesson.